You guys remember this story. There's a teacher in Virginia. Her name was Abby Schwerner. She was shot by her 6-year-old student 2 years ago in 2023. So a couple of days ago, a jury awarded her $10 million. I don't know if she's going to get paid, but she was awarded. The judgment was against the assistant principal, Ebony Parker. So let me go back to what happened. So this is a teacher in Virginia, like I said, and she is a 6-year-old student that shot her. Now, apparently, the assistant principal, Ebony Parker, was warned it was possible the 6-year-old had this gun, and I guess the assistant principal did nothing about it. So Ebony Parker has insurance through the school district, I assume. So I guess the school district is going to pay. But nonetheless, Abby Schwerner won this $10 million lawsuit. Now, the first thing I was thinking about is, at the time I remember hearing about the story, and I still ask myself the same question. How the hell did a 6-year-old get a gun and bring it to school and shoot the gun, right? What was the parents doing with the gun accessible to a 6-year-old? Now, kids find guns, it happens, but I feel like we're in a world now where we've learned from the past. So I would think that any adult who has a gun is going to make sure it's locked up. And I sure as hell am not going to have my 6-year-old getting access to it. But anyway, needless to say, Schwerner got shot twice. She got shot through the hand and she got shot in the abdomen. Somehow she survived. She got her students out of the classroom. And let me go over to the story real quick because again, this story was crazy to me.
A jury of 4 women and 3 men have come to the decision that they found Dr. Ebony Parker, the assistant principal at Rich Neck Elementary School, liable and grossly negligent because of her actions or lack of action on that day of January 6, 2023, when Abigail Schwerner was shot by a 6-year-old student in her class. The testimony over the past 2 weeks has been remarkable, has been emotional. Abigail Schwerner taking the stand herself, saying she thought she was going to die after she was shot. And there was a testimony from more than 15 witnesses, many of them saying, the teachers themselves saying, we gave Dr. Ebony Parker a warning that a student had come to us saying there might have been a gun in this student's backpack. There might have been a gun in this student's jacket pocket. And of course, there was a gun in possession of that individual. Dr. Ebony Parker is not done with the court system yet here. She has a criminal trial starting in just about 2 weeks from now because she is charged here in the Commonwealth of Virginia with 8 counts of criminal child neglect. That's a felony here.
Let me stop that for a minute. Now, this is wild to me, though. This is really wild to me. And the reason why this is wild to me is that she should have definitely, Ebony Parker should have definitely checked it out. Anytime you hear something about a student with a gun, you got to go check it out and find out what's going on just in case. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's a false alarm, it's better to safe than sorry, right? Obviously. This story makes me say, like, who was this 6-year-old? Because I'm thinking about it. I'm like, man, a 6-year-old kid in 1st grade. I'm going to get into a video in a minute with the mom and the mom's lawyer, because obviously, I'm surprised the mom didn't get sued. There was a case in Michigan, maybe I want to say 2 years ago. There was a school shooting, and for the first time in history, they actually charged the parents, and the parents were charged criminally and I think possibly civilly. But the assistant ex-principal, she was in charge. She didn't do anything, and she may face felony charges criminally. So I don't know if that's necessarily right in my personal opinion, but at the same time, you got to understand this is something that that should have been prevented, honestly, especially if she got warning. Let me just think about this for a minute. All of you out here with kids, right? Think about the fact when your kid, if your kid is past 6 years old, think about your child having a gun and going to school with it at 6 years old. So we all know that if you're a parent, you got to lock your gun or guns up. That's one. For 2, this child obviously had some problems before, right? Because the average normal child doesn't bring a gun to school. And even if a child does bring a gun to school, it takes something else for the child to pick up the gun and actually shoot it at their teacher, right? So I was like, let me go back, and I wanted to look at the parents to kind of understand what the mind frame of the parent was. And I was a little shocked because the mom seemed, I don't know, she just seemed a little nonchalant. I'm not saying she didn't care, but she seemed so nonchalant about the shooting. Parents of my generation, parents my age, we are way more conscious about things that are happening now than our parents were. So that's the positive side. But we also have a group of parents in present day who are so nonchalant about what their kids are doing. They're so nonchalant about the situations that their kids are in and what responsibility they take for that.
The mother of the Virginia 6-year-old who shot his teacher. She is speaking out about it for the first time after a Virginia grand jury indicted and charged her with child neglect and failing to secure her son.
Has he processed the magnitude of what happened?
Well, in my opinion, he processes the events leading up to it. He talks a lot more about the day before or the 2 days before than he does about January 6th.
You released a statement shortly after the incident, and I just want to quote it. You said, "Our son suffers from an acute disability and was under a care plan at the school that included his mother or father attending school with him and accompanying him to class every day. The week of the shooting was the first week when we were not in class with him." What can you tell us specifically about your son's disability?
He has ADHD. Some are able to have it at a very mild rate, but he's off the wall, doesn't sit still, ever.
And why did the school decide that it was no longer necessary for the family to be in class?
Because we ended up working with another doctor. He had started medication, and he was meeting his goals academically.
Had your son ever spoken about hurting the teacher, or was there anything any angst that he had against her?
No, he actually really liked her. I will say that week he did come home and he was talking, a lot about how he felt like he was being ignored. So he would come home and, "Mom, I don't think that she was listening to me. I didn't like that." And then actually he ended up getting suspended the next day because he was in class. He was trying to tell her something. And she asked him to go sit back down. He threw his arms up, he said, "Fine." And when he threw his arms up, he knocked her phone out of her hand on accident. And he got suspended for that.
Zwerner did not respond to ABC News' request for comment, but in a lawsuit, she says the student slammed the cell phone on the ground so hard that it cracked and shattered.
When I look at that, I say, okay, I wanted to understand the mom. Now, the mom seems like a everyday, type of mom. I don't know where the dad was. That looks like that was her dad, the grandfather, sitting next to her. But they said that the child was on a behavioral program where the parents needed to sit in class with him, right? So this is obviously a 6-year-old who has some ADHD and behavioral issues. He's a kid, doesn't make him evil. He's a kid, right? If he has ADHD and he has some behavioral issues, then that's why I'm like, why do you have a gun accessible for this kid, especially even kids in general, but especially if you have a kid who has ADHD and has exhibited some behavioral issues where you actually have to go to class and sit with him. You really don't want to have a kid with a gun because emotionally he has not gotten there yet. These type of mistakes, they just don't need to happen. The kid could have killed himself.
According to the suit, the child had a history of random violence and that he attacked students and teachers alike, both in and out of school. Is that description accurate?
Whether it is or it isn't, the school enrolled him in September knowing all of the past behaviors, and they also knew that he had not attended only about 2 months of kindergarten and about 2 months of pre-K.
And you say that to say that they then own the responsibility?
Absolutely. If that
Bruh, that's crazy. Now for the lawyer to say that the school is going to be responsible because they knew his history, well, the parents knew his history too. So to say that the school is responsible for this kid bringing a gun to school and shooting his teacher is wild work. This is where we got into in society. It's the parents' responsibility. If the kid, if the school knows his history, the parents, they really know the kid's history. So there should be no way in the world this kid should ever had access to a gun.
The gun used in the shooting was legally purchased by Taylor. She says it was kept locked away. How did your son access the gun?
nobody knows.
No one knows.
You'd have to ask him.
Have you asked him?
No, not yet. That's certainly something that will be probably brought out during litigation.
Let me just ask this, and I'll direct it to you, Jimmy. Is it that no one has asked him how he got it, or you're just not ready to reveal how he got it?
We're not ready to discuss that at this point.
Understood.
Yes, people have talked to him about that. I don't know that any adult knows exactly how he got the gun.
When the reporter asked, how did the kid get the gun? The attorney says, well, you got to ask him. He's 6. I'm sure that obviously you got to ask him, but that would be the first question. The parents know how the kid got the gun, right? Maybe they're not ready to say how he got the gun, but how he got the gun is pretty important. That's how all this happened.